welcome back to another episode of the Beer Flow Podcast. Thank you so much from my boy Einstein, from your boy Greg, and Real Deal back there. Thank you so much for the love and support. How's everyone doing? Are you guys enjoying the Olympics? I know we are. So, this is our second part of our Olympic Series episode, and yep, we're going to get into it. This is the episode that we are going to cover 3 of the big beer countries. Like I said, when we first started the concept of the Olympic episode, we wanted to keep in mind that, yes, we do specialize in craft beer, but I mean, let's be honest, where does it all come from? Where does beer originate from? There are tons of different stories. Civilizations have always provided beer. There were hieroglyphic paintings, whatever you want to believe, whatever documents you come up with or find or know, by all means, please be down. That's cool. But we're going to talk about 3 of the big boys. We're talking about Germany, England, and Belgium. Okay, so now personally, I know that growing up, when I think of like import beer, the first beer I thought of was Lowenbrau, because I remember with the 2 little umlauts over it. I remember in the 80s, Motley Crue used that for whatever. But I just remember Lowenbrau. I remember the little theme song, "Let It Be Lowenbrau." That was like the theme song in the early 80s, late 70s. I didn't know anything. I was a little kid. I didn't know shit. But growing up, or as I should say, getting older, I started learning about beer, and I automatically thought import beer, that's Heineken. I always thought Heineken, import beer, Heineken. And that's fine. That's cool. But that's not what we're talking about today. Well, for one, yeah, respect to Heineken. The cool thing, too, is if you want to relate it to craft beer, Heineken is probably... Heineken is one of the biggest one of the biggest breweries that's still mainly family owned. And for all those hardcore people that have heard or know that Lagunitas, an American craft beer company, they were recently purchased by Heineken. I don't know the exact percentage of how much who owns what, but I know that was one of the biggest reasons why Lagunitas went with Heineken for distribution purposes. But it was also because, if you look at some of the beers in the Heineken catalog, which you can look up, I forgot what I looked it up, how I looked it up, but if you look it up, you see the beers that are in the Heineken catalog. Lagunitas is the only American craft beer. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the only American beer. All the rest are world beers. I remember Tiger Beer was one of them as well. So that kind of gives you a perspective of the American craft beer ties in with Heineken. And so back to the big boys, Germany, England, and Belgium. Let's talk about Germany. Now, I also know, when I first started drinking beers, that when I thought of Germany, I always thought, that's the big, Germany's where it all originated from. I had these images of, Lederhosen and big steins and, all this stuff. Very similar to what you see in the movie Beer Fest. And there is a rumor that there is a festival, I guess a secret game that is very similar to what went down in Beer Fest. Now, I know that was a comedy, and it was, it was very far-fetched and, slapsticky and everything. But from what I heard, it's based on some truth. So, I don't know. You do the research. You let me know. But anyway, so let's talk about Germany for a second. Because it's one of the originals, they came up with some of the styles of beer that may sound familiar, but you may not know exactly what's going down. So so the first thing I think of is the Marzen beer, Marzen. So Marzens, there's a time period where there's supposed to be no new brewing between April 24th and September 25th. There's supposed to be no new beers brewed at that time. So what would happen is they would brew these beers and they would store them, usually in cellars. I've heard a story where there were certain cold there's mountains that they were like literally frozen like little caves, and they would store these beers in these caves whatever. What was happening though is they were storing these beers, and they'd save them, and they would just save them, and finally crack them open and tap them at Oktoberfest. Well, Oktoberfest, that's a big celebration when they can drink all these beers. That is going to be that's an entire episode we're going to get into when it's actually a little bit closer to that late September date where Oktoberfest starts. And I will have, if all things work correctly, I have a couple friends that have actually gone to Oktoberfest. We're going to have them sit in on the podcast, and they'll explain to you exactly what goes down at Oktoberfest for those of you who haven't gone. But anyone that has gone, please email us, contact us at thebeerflow.com. Let's hear your stories. We'd love to hear them. We can give you a call and figure out, have your story told on our podcast. So anyway, another term, some of the other terms that you will hear that pretty much originated from Germany and German beers are Bocks, Bocks, or is it Bocks? Bach, Bach. Okay, my Bocks, things like that. Those are usually going to be kind of springier. Actually, okay, so let's get into some of the other terms for beers or styles of beers, I should say, that are pretty much German, that are originated from Germany. Bocks, Weissens, so when you see a W, 9 times out of 10, when you see the letter W word in a German beer, the W is pronounced with a V sound. So when you see Hefeweizen, it's really Hefeweizen. That's how it's pronounced. So, but yeah, Bocks and Hef. Okay, for those of you that listened to the last episode for our Olympic special, we talked about how there was a lot of cross-referencing and a lot of different sources, I guess you could say, that I went to. And this is we're going to still use that same guideline in which we found the rating for the top 3 beers for these countries. So I guess you can say some of the gold medal winners for the German beers. The number 1 rated German beer was the Eyinger. It's spelled Ayinger. Celebrator Doppelbock, which is a double bock, which is going to be dark and strong. The number 2 is Schneiderweiss Aventinus. It's you can look up how to spell it. Aventinus is Aventinus. That's a Weizenbock, whatever, a wheat bock. The number 3 German rated beer was, all right, follow me here, Freigensteis, Lambic, Orwell, whatever. It's Frieigeiest, Lambic, Lambic, Orwell, Orhual. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but that was a wild or sour beer. When I was looking up the highest rated German beers, no IPAs. Sorry, hopheads. There were no IPAs on that list whatsoever. But, that's fine. Germans aren't known for their IPAs. So, all right, let's go on to the next country. All right, so I don't know why, but for some reason every time I see the word England, I always think jolly old England. And I gotta imagine, if you're English, I'm sure you hate that. If you do, reach out to us at thebeerflow.com. Let us know if you guys hate it. Anyway, so England. Now, going into this, I guess, medal round or whatever you'd like to consider it, it's one of the big boys because, so when I started thinking about England, and I thought of pretty much the entire United Kingdom. I started thinking of Wales, England, Scotland, and of course I thought Ireland. Now, how can you not think of Ireland and not think of Guinness? This is the world beer. You go into any bar, not just USA, any bar in the world, chances are they will have Guinness. If you have Guinness, you're good. Who cares? Yeah, that's not craft. Shut up. You know how much craftsmanship goes into making Guinness? That's a whole episode itself as well. I mean, I don't think I'm going to do one unless I go, unless I go to Ireland. I don't think I'll do one. You get it. You can watch plenty of YouTube videos about what goes into Guinness beer. And yes, it's Guinness. Shout out, tip of the hat, Guinness. Thank you. Back to England. So, that being said, when it comes to English beer, I always think of like the old school, like warm, dark, or just warm ales. You hear that, I think of Game of Thrones and how they're drinking out of the horns. They're drinking ales. Okay, yeah. If you go back to some of our prior episodes, we describe what goes into making an ale and how it's all time and temperature, and it's technically easier to make an ale without really screwing it up. So anyway, yes, ales are dope. Now, let us not forget. Oh yes, I'm bringing it. England is responsible for the birth of the IPA. You hopheads love your IPAs. Let me repeat. England is responsible for that creation. So you love that. Thank England. Okay, let's just get to the list, because there's so many different English beers. I always think of, like I said, I think of like warm ales. I always think of brown ales. Of course, you think of something like Newcastle. The Sam Smith. Actually, if you get a chance, I know that those are a lot more easily available. You get a Sam Smith beer, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna be disappointed. If you get, and also let's not forget, if you do get an IPA from England, please be prepared and keep in mind that it is not going to be anywhere near as hoppy as your American, Southern, Northern California IPAs. Just make sure you keep that in mind. So this way you're not let down, you're not disappointed. Oh, this sucks. This isn't real hoppy. It doesn't taste like whatever. Like we say here at the Beer Flow, we're helpers. We want to help you. So just keep in mind, like I said, if you try an English IPA, it's not going to be anywhere near as hoppy as your IPAs from Southern and Northern California or for the United States. Okay, so these are the top 3 rated English beers, and let's get into this. So the number 1 rated English beer, it's Old Chimney's Good King Henry's Special Reserve. Now, that's an imperial stout. Now, going through and cross-referencing and checking everything, most of the highest rated beers on the list for England were stouts, imperial stouts. A couple IPAs, but mainly double IPAs. So that was the number 1. Number 2, it was a collaboration. It was from Siren and Evil Twin Brewing Companies. It is Barrel Even More Jesus number 8 coffee. That is an imperial stout. Some of the descriptions I've read for it, it's supposed to be crazy, super dark, super good. Evil Twin is they're from Denmark, but they are European, and but they're available here in the States. So a lot of times you will see them in 4-packs. You can see them in 22s. If you get them, try them. They're really, really good. Those are probably Evil Twin. Those drink like what I experienced personally is a lot of European beers taste different. They taste a little. There's no other way to describe it. They taste European. But Evil Twin, those ones, from what I've had at least, the Evil Twin tastes very American. They taste like your Northern California or even like, actually pretty much West Coast small microbrew. Those taste very similar. So if you get a chance to see if you see Evil Twin, pick some up. You'll try it. You'll try it and you'll like it. I promise. All right. The number 3 is, here we go. It's Cloudwater Double IPA V3, which I assume means version 3. That is an imperial, or as some may call it, a double IPA. So those are your top 3 English beers. All right. So now for one of the bigger boys right here. Belgium. Belgian beers. All right. Now, it's also been my experience that a lot of people who do drink or have tried Belgian beers, it is very love or hate. I understand that. I get that. Once again, this will be an entire episode. A little later on down the line, we will get into that as to what really makes them different, all the different versions of Belgian beers, Abbeys, Trappists, things like that. So we'll get into all that later. Basically, Trappists are beers that are brewed by... Anyway, we'll get into that in a later episode. Okay, so usually, like when I would say for the serious beer drinkers, those that have heard of Belgian beers, 9 times out of 10, they've probably heard of like some of the 3 bigger Belgian beers: Golden Drac, Duvel, and of course, Chimay. Chimay, it's got the 3. It's got the white, it's got the red, and it's got the blue. There have been many fine steakhouses in this country, and they usually just serve wine, scotches, and they may have 1 or 2 beers, and chances are it's probably going to be Chimay Blue. A while back, right when the whole craft brew revolution, I guess you could say, started to get some legs and people started really getting into it, Chimay Blue at that time was probably considered the best beer in the world. But like anything else, when you put a list, it's subjective to interpretation, but more importantly, it's just subjective, period. So some people are going to say it's the best. Who knows? Who cares? Try it. Before you make any kind of crazy decision, just try Chimay Blue. It is great. But that is just one level. That's just one layer of what's going on with Belgian beers. So let me give you the list of 3 Belgian beers that are pretty hardcore. These are definitely the 3 top-rated Belgian beers with all the cross-referencing. I think that should be a t-shirt now, just cross-reference. Anyway, whatever. With all the cross-referencing I did for this episode, these were the 3 that were the highest-rated Belgian beers. Speaking of the 3 Belgian beers, one of the biggest things is, like, it's a style, but there are lots of different sub-styles in the Belgian category, I guess you could say. All right, so I hope I don't butcher this again. West Velteren, WESTVLETEREN 12, Roman numeral 12. It's a quadruple, which means it's dark and strong. That was the number 1 rated Belgian beer. Okay. Number 2 was the number 3, Fontaine Zine e Frontera. So it's the number 3, FONTENENZENNE, Y, as in Spanish language, and Frontera. That was a lambic. And based on the description, it's a sweet lambic, so it's going to be one of those really, really fruit-heavy lambics. Not so sour. That was the number 2 rated Belgian beer. And number 3, it's one that I've actually seen, I've held. I think one I'd actually drank. I just don't remember. I don't remember what it tastes like because I think I was drinking a lot of that night. Anyway, this beer I know for sure is definitely available. I've seen it in retail, big retail stores. If you see it, you should probably check it out. It is I believe it's called Roquefort Trappistes. Let's get you the spelling. ROCHEFORT Trappistes, TRAPPISTES, number 10. There are different numbers. A lot of Belgian beers, they will just have numbers as to differentiate some of the different beers that Trappist or that brewery, so to speak, would have. So this is the number 10. Try it. I know that American craft beers, there was a time that everyone was making, and let's face it, Americans, when we do stuff, we do follow trends, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So for a while, American breweries, they were making sure that when they brewed, when they would go through their list and their catalog and they'd make a beer, everyone made an attempt to make a Belgian style. Now, it's great, but not everyone was successful at it. There's some, there are some good, American-made Belgian styles, but once again, that's all subjective. Definitely check it out. One of the things about Belgian beers is they're all, like I said, there's so many different varieties of them, and very particular. Oh, you should drink it out of a Trappist glass, drink it out of a tulip glass, drink it out of a bulb, whatever. That's fine. It's all beer. It's all love. It's great. All right, so let's go through this for a second. So we could not do an Olympic-themed episode without shouting out and representing the host country, Brazil. Now, for those of you who know a little bit about Brazil outside of the Snoop and Pharrell video, but there's that. Well, for one, the national drink in Brazil, if anyone's ever been to Brazil, is the caipirinha, which is basically like a mojito, but instead of a light rum, they use cachaça. So, which is basically a sugarcane booze. But don't fret. There is some craft brew out there that represents the whole craft brew world. And well, looking through some of the craft brews, and like I said, there was some cross-referencing, there was some data research, and I know we'd mentioned it earlier, but Evil Twin Brewing, they're all over the world, and that's one of the big predominant craft breweries out there, as well as there's a brewery called Three Monkeys. That was, this is how small they are. Going online, looking it up, I could not find a picture of any bottles of this, Three Monkeys. So, and the other thing I also noticed was that as far as craft beers go, they were all over the place. I mean, they had, as far as styles went, there was IPAs. The three biggest ones that I think represent what Brazil was bringing to the table was porters, stouts, and IPAs. But don't get me wrong, there were some wild ales and definitely some a couple lambics on the list of breweries and craft beer that I saw from Brazil. But the one that caught my attention, and it was probably the second highest rated Brazilian beer. Okay, so I think it was the third highest rated beer that I saw from Brazil, which appropriately enough was from a brewery called Invicta. The brewery who is brewed by is called it's a brewery called Cervejaria Invicta, which appropriately enough their top rated beer is called Invicta 1000. The reason why is because it does actually have a rating of a 1000 IBU and at a healthy 8% ABV. So keep in mind, some of your hoppier beers are going to have about 100, a rating of about 100 IBUs. Anything more than that is going to be a super hoppy beer. So at 1,000 and at an 8% ABV, wow. So if you plan on drinking this on the beaches of Rio de Janeiro, I hope you're underneath an umbrella because this is a big boy. Once again, this is by Cervejaria Invicta. The beer is Invicta 1000, and that's probably going to be the best representation of the Olympic host country, Brazil. So put down the caipirinha, grab one of these great craft brews. That's if you're out there. If not, if you happen to come across one, by all means, represent craft brew. Thank you, Brazil, for representing and hosting, I should say, the Olympics. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we do have a special 15 for 12 coming up right now. I've got some, I think they're good. Definitely want to try them. At least try them for the podcast. If you guys find them, tell us what you think. All right, 15 for 12 coming right up. All right, everybody, 15 for 12. And in this case, it is 15 for 16. The beer I will be reviewing is a beer. It's made by Schneiderweiss, and the title of it is Aventurious. This I have been looking forward to for a while. So let's get this going here. Hold on. All right. So right off the bat, it is a very dark. It's a dark amber, almost brownish, but it's got a really, really good color. Nice weedy. Nice weedy note on the nose. Let's get this a shot. It's so good. Okay, it's sweet, but not like sugary alcohol sweet. No, okay, so that's two different types of sweet. So it's not like sugar sweet, like when you get like chocolate flavored stuff. It's nothing like that. And it's not like boozy sweet. It's just got a real nice sweetness from the actual grains and the wheat itself. Oh, very good. It's got that little hint of tang, which usually you kind of get when you have imports. There's this like a certain distinct flavor to it, and you definitely get that. But yeah, you can definitely see why this is rated as one of the top German beers. I'm gonna imagine it doesn't have ABV on here, but oh, look at that! Oh, ho, ho. Okay, so underneath Aventinius, it's Germany's original wheat Doppelbock ale at a nice 8.2 ABV. God bless you. It's just good stuff. Yeah, definitely recommend this. Yeah, so I've definitely had a few different Schneider Weisses, but this, hands down, is probably my favorite one. So if you get a chance, please pick this up. I know I've picked it up at a big time retailer, so you should be able to as well. All right, let's see what else we got on deck. The reason why I said this was a special 15 for 12 is because, well, let's face it. I have a little bit of history in the beer world, and I was once a shipping receiver, and one of the biggest things I had to do was I had this customer ask me, I need this beer, and it just the biggest pain in the ass to try and get it into the store for him to buy. So, okay. I finally got it in, and my man came through, and he bought an entire case of these single bottles. The bottle is St. Bernardus Apt 12. Now, St. Bernardus you can get at pretty much every local retailer, or big retailer, I should say, that has a good import section, especially Belgium section. Now, the Apt 12, that was a little harder to get at the time. But because of the explosion of the craft beer scene and beer in general, this is definitely going to be one that's a little bit easier to get than it was back then. So, let's get into this. This is the Abbey Ale, St. Bernardus Apt 12. So, this is a Belgium. It's got a really dark brown color to it. Not black, not like your big stouts and porters, but it's bordering on that. So, let's see. Okay, so in that Belgian tradition, it's got a little bit of that banana on the nose. Like we've talked about before, a lot of Belgians have that kind of distinct banana type taste. Let's give it a sip. Oh yeah. It's so smooth. This thing is super smooth. Looking at the bottle here, and okay. So let's get this very, very clear. Please be careful. This is a 10% ABV. It's only a small 11.2 ounce bottle, but the flavor and taste is huge. Big, bright wheat. It's a little warm going down after you sip it. It's almost like residual alcohol kind of going down. It's not. This is a definite sipper. Do not operate heavy machinery after this. But this is really, really nice. I highly recommend this one. So when I think of Belgian beers, this is exactly the type of flavor I think of. And this is just fantastic. Please, if you do get anything by St. Bernardus, it's going to be good. But this Apt 12, APT 12, or I'm sorry, B as in boy, ABT 12, this is fantastic. Give it a shot. Nice Belgian beer. So that's it. We have survived another episode of the Beer Flow. Now, hopefully you liked it. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you didn't like it, we'd still want to hear your feedback. So if you haven't already, make sure you go to iTunes, give us a review, give us a rating, tell us what you think. You can catch us on iTunes. You can get us on Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, or go to the website, thebeerflow.com. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and on Untapped. The Beer Flow, we'd love to hear from you. We love the feedback. We friend everyone. We share everything. Got a lot of good stuff coming up. Can't wait to get through it. So for the time being, please enjoy the Olympics. We know that we will. So, I'm not going to forget, keeping with an international theme, this week's Jam of the Week, now it's very post-woo. Because hip-hop is such a global phenomenon, there are rappers and MCs all over the world. I've heard a bunch. I've heard so many, Japanese, crazy French, all this stuff. It's just hands down who I think skill-wise is the best rapper overseas. His name is Dizzy Rascal. He's from London. So this week's Jam of the Week from the Beer Flow, it is by Dizzy Rascal. The album is called Boy in the Corner from his 2004 album. The song, it's hard beat, so hard, but it's awesome. It's hard to keep up with this rhyme flow, but once you hear what he's saying, understand what he's saying, you will appreciate it. The song is called Fix Up, Look Sharp. Please check him out. Dizzy Rascal. Thank you very much. From everyone here at the Beer Flow, myself, Einstein, Real Deal, thank you so much. We love you. Thanks for the support. Remember our motto here at the Beer Flow. It's the same motto as last week. Keep an open mind and an empty glass, regardless of the language on the label. Thank you so much, everyone. Peace.
I've heard the gossip from the street to the slammer. They're trying to see if Dizzy stays true to his grammar. Being a celebrity don't mean shit to me. Fuck the glitz and glamour, hit 'em with the blitz and hammer. Because they're talking black Russian. To be on my back, but to my face they say nothing. Stand up in the box, keep a firm steady stance. Keep the beanies talking, keep the beanies hot flushing. Flushing MCs down the loo. If you don't believe me, bring your posse, bring your crew. Feel free to hate, cause I ain't trying to be your mate. Be serious, you won't last the hour in my shoe. It's an Air Force One. Trainers by the truckload, trainers by the ton. There'll be days when I catch you by your J's.